What is going on, my YouTube friends, my Patreon friends? How we living today? Got my window open today. Probably looks a little artificial, but that's okay. I'm trying to keep the vitamin D up so I can keep this thing going. What do we got going on, man? My friend Rob Shields is pumping me full, man. Pumping me full. I'm not gonna complain though, man. I got no complaints. Everything you've sent me so far, it's been unbelievable. And I keep leaning on Fashion Dread because that's the first one from LAB that I got into, but I finally listened to the studio version. It's a little slower even. I don't know why that made me like it more. So this was another request from my friend Rob, and I appreciate this as always, my friend. This is 660, Someone to Be Around, Red Bull Studios Live. Come on, man. I don't got much else to say. I do have the transparency thing on because YouTube's been tough on the copyright thing. I do have the original link to this tagged in the description box, and I would appreciate if y'all have any takeaways. If I can, by any chance, add anything, I would appreciate if you went and watch the original so that they get the view too. You know what I mean? We're trying that out. Trying to be good examples of this of the new community kind of guidelines and everything. But anyways, let's do this. Big speaker box.
Cheers everyone for tuning in. We are 660 live at the Red Bull Studios. Cheers.
So hold on, man. I know Red Bull goes in on some of these bands. I worked with who was the opener for Buck Cherry when we did production for that. Heaven's Basement. I don't know if they're a band anymore. They might have got a new singer, but they were a Red Bull band. Unreal, man. Was One Bad Son a Red Bull band? I don't remember, man, but unreal, man. Like their production quality, their studios and stuff just seem dynamite. So I'm assuming that this is gonna be fire. I dig this strat already, man. Like this is already up my alley.
Live at the Red Bull Studios. Cheers. The song's called Someone to Be Around. Shout out to Grace and Wooly for jacking it up. Happy birthday, Dad.
Happy birthday, Dad.
Sounds of hope, I got nothing to show for a while now.
Alright.
But if you throw me a rope, I might be able to cope with the down and out. Wish I could float, the water's up to my throat, but the cost of my friends, they're drowning out. Last time we spoke, I said I needed you most. I just need someone to be around. Oh, someone to be around.
I'm not ready for these drums yet, man. I'm not ready. Great groove, man. Fantastic groove. I love the pattern that he's been playing, and he was talking on top of it. Was not expecting his voice to sound like this, man. He's got a voice. He's got a smooth voice on him, eh? Kind of disappointed that we're halfway through. I mean, we'd listen to the first little bit without pausing. Like, it's smooth and buttery, man. On top of that, like, that pattern is just kind of like unorthodox, and I appreciate that more and more as a guitar player, or the more and more I've been playing guitar lately, at least. Like that da 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 da, and then he's singing these like long chords, these nice like held buttery chords or notes like this. It's great, man. It's great. This is gonna be tasty. I'm excited to hear this drummer.
Oh, someone to be around. When my legs start to shiver, my soul starts to quiver, I think of the last time you spoke to me. You said everything has a meaning. Oh, everything happens for a reason. But when someone's alone, the words are next to wrong, and I just long for someone to be around. Oh, whoa, whoa. Mr. Johnny Fraser.
Okay, before we get to the Gretsch guitar solo, so I'll save the Gretsch stuff for right before we go to this. Very cool, man. Very cool. Like, this drummer's got this cool pocket going on. Bass player's kind of leading a little bit. I like the, like, what do you call this? It's on the tip of my tongue. Kind of like a reggae, like, influence guitar line. You know what I mean? And, like, he's got such a cool voice. Like, he's got this natural kind of compression. So when you sing, like, you take in like a diaphragm full of air, right? You shouldn't be filling up your chest, your diaphragm. And then you can restrict the airflow as it goes over your vocal cords. And that creates compression, vocal compression, not outboard compression, but like vocal compression. And it sounds like he's got that like really naturally to his voice. And when he was kind of like talking and doing his shout outs and stuff, he probably was like letting the energy out a little bit. And it sounded like he was speaking a little louder, but like the resonance, the resonant placement of his voice I felt was a little lower. And then when he's singing, it gets so nice and buttery. It's kind of got this like nice space to it, but there is like a touch of that like compression, and I do think it's like kind of natural. The Beta 58 I think makes sense because it sounds like he's singing a little quieter, and then like in a live environment, especially in a studio, you don't want to get too carried away with microphones and start having all this bleed from all the other instruments, right? So the Beta 58 would be a little bit hotter than, say, like an SM 58, so it'd be a little crispier. You can get away with singing a little bit quieter. But if he does start wailing into it, like you can distort the capsule. That's like why I couldn't sing into them, because I'm loud. It's like a bad habit how loud I am. But so far it sounds like he's been keeping it under wraps. He's got lots of tone. Fantastic, man. The Gretsch. They're such cool guitars, man, because it's like a Les Paul kind of shape. And it's kind of got a similar sound. It's very smooth. It doesn't have like a lot of like top end like bite to it. Like you can get that out of an amp, but just naturally. But they just feel like such solid guitars. And like I have like a Gibson. I've played Les Pauls. Like whatever. Like those, they're nice. They're great. They feel like they're not gonna break. But there's something about a Gretsch. It just feels like it's like a really nicely fitted baseball bat almost, with like a nice small neck on it. I don't know how to describe it unless you've played one, but they have great sustain. They've got great tone. We're about to hear it in this guitar solo. I'm looking forward to this.
Oh yes, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Johnny Fraser. Yeah, boy.
Great lead, very tasty. Like obviously adds to the song. It's not like he was sitting there just like shredding on top of this kind of like nice laid back kind of groove, right? And I think it's smart. I think it shows the importance of each note. You know what I mean? Because it's not all riffs. It's not all these crazy like technique and stuff. It's just like important notes that are melodic and add to the song, right? I thought it was great. Great guitar tone too, right? I think there's a flange on there that kind of gives it like the spiral sound. Chorus is a little different. I think that was a flange. For my guitar nerds, someone can point it out, whatever he was using, but I think it was a flange. And those Gretches, man, they just sound so nice and buttery. It's a nice nice compliment. I was gonna say contrast, nice compliment to Buddy's voice here. I like that a lot.
From thinking about it, I'm trying to find my peace of mind, but there's no way around it, and you just compound it by saying that I'm just a waste of time. Maybe I know it, but choose not to show it. I hope I'm able to work it out. For now I will struggle with all of my troubles, and I need someone to be around. Oh, someone to be around. Oh, someone to be around. Yeah. Oh, someone to be around. Oh, someone to be around.
resolve. All those like reverse, like those reverse tones too. Sounds like it's like kind of wrapping up. Excuse me. That was really neat, man. Real groovy. Let's stop here for a second and talk about the bass player. So bass player was palm muting and playing with his thumb, and it kind of gave it like a fretless vibe, almost like an upright, but not quite. It's not like I thought it was a fretless bass, but it does have frets. It looks like an Ibanez or something with active pickups. But anyway, so like that's how you get that tone. So you kind of palm mute it. So you lay your hand across the bridge of the string where the string just gets exposed and like becomes free, and then you can just like mute it a little bit there. And then with like your thumb, it doesn't have the attack or like the brittleness that you get out of like a pick, or like when you're like picking really hard or pulling really hard with your fingers. So it's just like other ways of creating the kind of like upright or the fretless kind of vibe, right? Who else do we got here? The drum kit was cool. Here, let me make this unfiltered. Big, just like 4 on the floor drum kit. I like that. Snare drum, big tom. This looks like a 13-inch tom and a 16-inch floor tom, and they're all real nice and tight, which is cool. It's a very like reggae thing. It looks like he's got like an electric pad here too, so this would have like different samples or different like MIDI sounds, whatever you want. The keyboard player had that stuff going on too, so I actually have one here. So the keyboard player had different synths and organs, but he was also playing this pad thing here. And so all this is, it's kind of like a drum pad. So if I press this, it just triggers whatever sound I have queued to this pad. And you can have like maybe like a kick drum, a snare drum, and a hi-hat. So now I can play with the drummer. Maybe you have like a revolution where it's like the funky part of the chorus. You just hit this and it starts the chorus. Like there's all kinds of stuff you can program that stuff for. But it's cool to hear how they used it in like a very organic, natural kind of sounding way, right? Because it felt very just like jammy. Very organic, like I say. I dug it, man. I dug it. I thought it was a great groove. Very cool recording. 660. I like it. I think he sent me a couple others. But anyways, my friends, I appreciate the support. I appreciate y'all watching the video. We'll see everyone again soon.